Good morning, everybody. I am Hiranya Madhav Saikya, Director Lalans IAS, and on behalf of Lalans IAS, I am happy to welcome you all for our endeavor to give civil service preparation a new light in the Northeast. So here we have assembled with the immediate goal in place, that is the interview that is coming up in the next 2 months for those people who have appeared in the mains recently. So what we have designed is a current affairs program for especially for the interview, because as you know, the interview preparation is a preparation. Many people tend to ignore the preparation and just go there after a couple of mocks. But from our experience, we have come across the fact that people should be well prepared, and one aspect of that is current affairs. So what we have designed is we will prepare at least 50 topics till the interview, and those topics will be in the nature of opinion based, because that is what the interview board will be looking from you. And so we have created this plan, and today we will start with the Manipur crisis. So current affairs is a very tricky part of civil service preparation. So the problem lies in the fact that the approach, though the news is same, the approach to both the prelims and mains and the interview is a bit different. To illustrate this point further, I will give you an example of question on current affairs that came recently in the prelims APSC exam. So there was this news regarding India performed a rescue operation called Operation Dost. It happened in Turkey and Syria. Mainly it was in Turkey, but Turkey and Syria, what happened? What was the background of it? There was this massive earthquake. There was this massive earthquake in Turkey, Levant region, and India sent a rescue mission, a help mission there. So this is a part of current affairs. So you had a direct question regarding this. Where did we see Operation Dost, or what was the operation named? So this is one element of that which is important in prelims. But the same approach or same way of studying will not yield you the right aptitude or right ability to succeed in mains. Why? See, there was a question on mains this year in GS paper 2. It was regarding India's India's eligibility as a permanent member of UN Security Council. So, how is it related to this news? We can very well say that performing such operations increases India's soft power. An enhancement of soft power is a credible legitimacy for recognizing the fact that India is playing a leading role in the world in various national as well as international issues. So now see, the same news, the approach will be totally different. In prelims, it will be like very objective, what happened there, where was it, and what did India do. But here it will be analytical, it will be more, you can say, comprehensive. Now comes the interview. What will happen? The same news, what will be the nature of question in interview? Interview also, it will be more or less similar to mains, but it will be more opinion based. There you will not be asked to illustrate on facts more, but there you will have to justify your opinions. So you may be asked, do you see or do you justify India's position as a superpower in the world, or how do we see India's position in the existing world order? So there your opinion will come into play. There you will have to justify your answer based on such facts. So the fact is that all these current affairs give you the arsenal to deliver your opinion in interview. So that's why the approach in prelims and the approach in mains will be a little bit different. So the main further material will be same, but we will have to focus on the opinion aspect of the current affairs. So here this program is intended with that purpose, and we are targeting not only the interview appearing students who will appear this year, but possibly those who will be appearing in 2024-25. They can avail benefit out of this program. Okay, so continuing further, so this will be the approach, and this is how we are going to tackle various aspects of it. This is the ongoing crisis, the Manipur crisis and its implication, and how or what will be the nature of question that you might face regarding this issue in interview. Very likely, we hope that the crisis ends by the time your interview comes, but if it is there, then we have to be ready. So here, first of all, you need to know the facts, and with your prelims and main preparation, I am very sure you know the facts, but still we will revise certain issues. So what is happening there, what is the background, so that we have to develop in a very systematic framework, then only that note will be useful. Otherwise, if we just assemble certain issues or assemble certain facts, it will be of no use. We will just throw it in the dustbin. Okay, so first of all, we should know certain dimensions of the crisis. So first aspect will be, what is the news? Then what is the context? What is the context? Immediate context. Then is there any background to this crisis, or is it a fresh crisis? The background. Then there is always the angle of constitution in any such issues. So what is the constitutional angle? Then with this crisis, we see that the very definition of state and the role of state has come to the question. We will elaborate it further. We will integrate with the idea of constitution in this, but that is an essential element. That has the state failed in its responsibility? Then there is an international angle too. By this I mean to say what is happening in our neighboring country, Myanmar. We had a question on Myanmar in mains this year. You could have used this idea, or you could have used the crisis as a fodder point for the answer on Myanmar, because that is somehow, the question was in line of what is India's developmental role in Myanmar. So that way we need peace with Myanmar to have peaceful Northeast. So those ideas can be integrated. So these are certain dimensions in which the whole issue can be covered. Then obviously now, since we are elaborating in the issue, and being like aspiring civil servants should also not only point out at things, they should point out at solutions also. So you need to find a solution, or you need to explore the possibilities where solution can be found out. Okay? So we will look into the solution aspect. What solutions, what possible solutions can be found out. So there we will deal with it further now. So what is the news till date? That is today today is 7th or 8th. Today is 7th August. So by 7th August we have seen there has been more than 160 lives lost. Why? Due to the ethnic violence. There has been damage of property damaged. Then you saw certain unprecedented things. I don't know if you are aware, but there was a massive transfer of population. And if you recall, transfer of population India had, when was the big massive transfer of population happened in India? Last time? I'm referring to the partition of India. Okay, so in partition there was a massive transfer of population from India to Pakistan and from Pakistan to India. So here we saw the unprecedented event that there was a transfer of population where? From the hills to the plains of Manipur. I'll illustrate it with a map of Manipur. You will be more familiar with it now. So this is Manipur for you. It is like a bowl. It's a bowl. So here okay, so Manipur is like this. This is a bowl. It's like your bati. In Assamese we call bati na, bati to nisina. Aru gote চাৰিওফালে পাহাৰ, ঠিক আছে? So it is hills here and there is the plains. Plain area is the Imphal Valley, that region, and hill is massive. But here all the tribal population reside. Here the Meitei, plain peoples reside. So what happened, what I meant by transfer of population is that not a single plains people could be found in the hills and not a single tribal people could be found in the plains. So what happened is that all the plains, tribal people in the plains shifted to the hills, and all the plains people in the hills, they came back. It is as good as partition. What happened in partition? It's a crude map of India, at least that region of India. So Pakistan was created. What happened? All the Hindus came from Pakistan to India, and Muslims went back to Pakistan. So similar transfer is happening. You cannot but be surprised or astonished by this fact that such a significant fact has happened, and the media coverage has not been to that extent, and these aspects has not been highlighted very well. But you should be aware that this is the significance of this event, that there is such a huge transfer population. Okay. Then another aspect that happened, which is quite unique, looting of state armory. When was the last time it happened in free India? I'll give you a clue. It never happened. It happened in the British times. If you have read Modern India, you would be aware that such armory loot was happening in Kakori train robbery case, or you can say it was not in fact a robbery. People were keeping their I-cards and ID cards there, they were trying to say, look who has come and looted. 1857 we saw such events. Then in that Anushilan Samiti, Surya Sen, if you are aware, in Bangladesh it happened. So that was pre-independence, that was against a foreign government. But here your own government was looted, own state armory was looted. So in a way, it's a total chaos. Where that is why the aspect of state comes into picture. So I will elaborate that point here itself. Why? And here that opinion-based question can be linked here, because you might be asked, assess the role of the state, or do you think the Manipur state has failed, or Indian state has failed in Manipur? Then all these aspects will be your further point. You will highlight the fact that yes, state has failed. Why? Because first of all, we should know what is a state. State is a political entity Means political entity. What does it mean by political entity? It means all the collective decision making in a community or in a population or in a country is made by the state. So one of the important element of state is that state is the primary actor to safeguard what? The life and property of the individuals, of its citizens. But here it was the abject failure of the state. State could not protect the life and liberty and properties and security of the people. So that brings into the question, how is it possible that there is a government there and looting of armory has happened? Why so many lives has been lost? So that brings into question the political that element of legitimacy of the state. So you might get a question, what do you think? Has Manipur state failed? So you can in fact take a stand that yes, considering these facts, that these things has happened, we can very well say that since state is meant to protect the life and property of the individual or life and liberty of the individual, and state has been an abject failure. There has been loss of life, loss of property, looting of state armory. So that essentially means that state has failed. So I hope I am able to communicate to you. So this is, although it is a very indirect media, but I would suggest that you can put in your comments in the link, or you can put in your comments below, so that I can be aware ki are you getting the message that I am trying to give it to you. So it's my earnest request to anyone who is watching this video, if you have any query or if you have any doubt, you can communicate with me through your comments. Do let me know. Okay. So this is the news. This is what is happening in Manipur. Now, second aspect is, what is the context of this issue? Context of this issue, you should be well aware of the facts. See, we tend to feel that we are overloaded by facts, but that is not the case. What we need to do is that we need to streamline the issues. We need to make it a proper structure, so that we remember the essential facts and we don't bother about the nitty-gritties. We just need to know the essential things. So this is a very essential thing, that what has happened in Manipur, what is the news. Secondly, what is the background, what is the immediate context. So I am very sure you know the immediate context, that there was a High Court order. High Court, I hope you are aware, Manipur High Court has been separated from Guwahati or Assam a few years back. Manipur, earlier all the northeastern states were like they had one High Court. Right now we have Manipur, Meghalaya, Tripura has separate High Court. So Guwahati High Court is essentially now, it has jurisdiction over Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram, I think. So Manipur has a separate High Court. So Manipur High Court put in an order. So what was the order? High Court gave a direction. It gave a direction to whom? It gave a direction to the state government of Manipur. What was the matter? What was the matter? The matter was recommendation of ST status. Recommendation of ST status to the Meiteis. Meiteis are an ethnic group. Manipur comprises mainly of 3 ethnic groups. There are multiplicity of tribal groups there, but we can broadly club it in 3. The plain is dominated by the Meiteis, who are around 54%. Then there are the various Naga groups. They are approximately 24%. And then there are the Kuki, Chin, Mizo. They are the same ethnic family. and they comprise around 16%. So what happened right now, the conflict is between these two groups, and this is right now like they are not active now, or they are not involved directly in the conflict, but although it is portrayed as a tribal, non-tribal conflict, or some section of media is portraying that way, but it is essentially a group conflict between the Meiteis and the Kukis. And Kuki is a very clustered, or you can say it's a very syncretic, or it's a mixture. There is no clear identity of who is a Kuki. The same people in India we call them Kuki. In Manipur, in Myanmar they are called as Chin. Then some Mizo groups are also identified as Kukis. So it's a very mixed group. In fact, if you see this map, I had a map. Yeah, if you see, just wait. If you see this map, this is the proclaimed homeland that Kukis portray. Okay, this is Mizoram, this is Manipur, this is Nagaland. So Kukis, you find Kukis everywhere. Here. So you find Kukis here in Manipur, you find Kukis in Mizoram, you find Kukis in Myanmar. So it's a mixed group. It covers a huge area, and they have people everywhere. So right now in Manipur, the main issue is between the Kukis and the Meiteis, and Meiteis are confined to here. Now we will come back to it. Okay, so that's it. So High Court order was, it gave a direction to the state government, and what did it direct? It directed the state government to recommend to, obviously state government is no authority to declare anybody ST. ST status, again, that is again an aspect of the constitution. You may be asked, linked to this, what is the procedure of granting ST status? In fact, in Assam there are multiplicity of groups who demand ST status. There are 5 groups who has been demanding. So is it the prerogative of the state government to give ST status? Absolutely not. So what happens is that state government gives a recommendation to the Union Tribal Ministry, and then Tribal Ministry will forward it to Parliament, to government, then Council of Ministers will sit, then Cabinet will decide. Okay, so that is the procedure. So now nothing is final, but based on that recommendation, the situation got volatile. What happened? When the High Court recommended, or when the High Court passed this order, there was a massive tribal solidarity rally. So in this tribal solidarity rally, it is as good as all the tribals felt threatened. So now suppose you are having a piece of cake. You know that you are having it. Now if some second person comes, then obviously the share will go from you. So similarly, the reservation cake had to be shared now if they would have got ST status. So that was the threat. And more fundamental than that is the issue of land. Why? Because right now in Manipur, the Meiteis are not allowed to buy properties in the hills. But if they get the ST status, then they will be treated as good as any tribals. So they would be free to get any property or buy any property there. And that is a very contentious issue. But see, arguments can be put forward from both sides. The Meiteis, they are a majority population in Manipur, but their geographical extent is very limited. Right now I just showed you that map. They are confined to that valley. So they are if you go to Manipur, Imphal, it's very thickly populated. Whereas the hills, obviously there is a challenge of living in the hills, but hills, the geography is quite large and population is proportionately quite less. So they feel threatened, and tribal sensitivities towards the land resources is quite big. So all these factors instigated the existing crisis. But if we look at bigger picture, is it something that has just now boiled? The answer is emphatically no. Why? Because there has been a background of ethnic conflicts in Manipur. In fact, if you just put your newspapers back like 3-4 years, there was this conflict between Meiteis and the Nagas. Earlier, Nagas used to be one of the belligerent groups. In fact, in 90s there was a massive conflict between the Kukis and the Nagas. There was massive killings there. So this is not something new to Manipur. Manipur has been a battleground. But right now what is happening is unprecedented. There is such a continued problem that has continued for so long. So, if we see the background of the issue, or just exploring certain aspects that why Manipur is so prone to such ethnic conflicts. One important aspect is its geography. See, geography is very much linked, and we are blessed. We also have in Assam, speaking from Assam's perspective, we also have multiple ethnic groups and multiple ethnic claims. Right now, this divide Assam 50-50 claim of Boro land is rampant demand, but that has subsided a bit. How? By giving them more empowerment, by giving them collaboration in power, by giving them development. But that is only possible because Assam is geographically capable of accommodating them. But Manipur is limited. Manipur's plain area is very limited. So there the main crisis is land. So what happens is that their geography limits their possibilities, limits their the pie. Limits the pie to share. Here we have that pie. We have created areas like, now it is called Boro Territorial Region. Earlier it was called BTAD. So Boro Territorial Region, why is it possible? Because Assam can accommodate this area. This is a plain area, this has all the facilities there, you can do farming and everything. But Manipur is like this. So Manipur, everywhere it is hills. Only this area is plains. So where will you divide, or how will you give more empowerment? It's not possible. So geography is a limitation for Manipur. So these aspects, why geography limits your choices, this has to be highlighted, or you should take the opportunity to mention it. How geography impacts your decision making. Number one. Second aspect is, this is an extension of geography, that because of geography there is huge competition among ethnic groups. Why? Because of in what aspects? Land, natural resources, and demographic change. This is also a very important aspect. These are fundamental to the crisis in Manipur, which is the background. Okay, various land farming practices. Cookies actually, there is an allegation that they keep on expanding. There is something called jhum farming. What is jhum farming? It is practiced by the tribals in the hills. So what they do is this slash and burn farming. It is also called slash and burn farming. So they plow a land in an area. They before that they fire, they light the fire and clear the hills, and then there they do the farming. So what happens is that makes it infertile for the next crop. So what they do, they will use a piece of land. Say this is a piece of land in the hills. So this they have used for farming. Like they have slash and burn this year in 2023. Next year they will do this. They will do this. So Kuki people, there has been allegation from the Meiteis that they keep on expanding. There is no fixed area, and there has been a history to the conflict also. Kukis, they have been used as mercenaries, Bharar soldier by the Manipuri king in that region. So there is they are like you can say how Chinggis Khan used to be, how the Mongols used to be. Not like it's the local sentiment of the plain tribals there, plain people there. That they do not settle anywhere. They keep on expanding. So we have to be very aware. So these are certain things which are affecting, and right now I showed you just a few moments back the demography of Manipur. So Manipur is 54% is Meiteis. So now if we allow more expansion, or if as I showed you in that earlier picture, that Kuki Chin people are coming from Myanmar also. So like there is a fear, or there is this sentiment that in Assam we have this, that we might be flooded with refugees or flooded with immigrants. So such fears are there among Manipuris also, or the original Manipuris, or like even with the tribals also it is there. The people coming from Myanmar, they will overpower, overshadow us. So such aspects are there. So it is a very sensitive matter. Then of course, because of geography, your access to resources, access to land, other natural resources is limited. So this is the basic background of the issue. Why? The limitations make it very prone to crisis. So what happens is that, first of all, geography limits it. Second of all, they have to depend on the central government for funds. So it is like, who has the access to the flow of funds from Delhi? So that is the attempt for every leader there. They are so dependent on the aid because they have less scope for indigenous economic wealth generation. So that is the background of the issue. Okay, so after going through the background of the issue, we have to deal with the aspect that the impacts we have delved into it little bit, like the violence aspect of it, then the transfer of population. But there are certain aspects which impact people in different ways, because merely loss of life, loss of property is not the only dimension. There has been this internet shutdown in Manipur. How a situation of crisis, it is impacting everybody. It will impact whom? Say for us, students, the students in Manipur, they are not getting access to any online material, online resources. For the businessmen, business people, even for the common people. See, now we are talking about what? Now we are talking about good governance. What is good governance? Good governance means governance with people. We have to involve the people, we have to use the technological aid to improve service delivery. So those things are getting affected. So this is, although it seems very peripheral, but it creates impact. Service delivery is getting affected. Then economy is affected. How? The price of essentials are getting up like anything. This happens any crisis. There is always hoarding of essential goods. There is hoarding of essential medicines, in fact, and the prices shoot up like anything. But the impact that has, even you can say, the Prime Minister of India has spoken on it, is what happened in 4th of May 2023. The violence, the molestation of the woman, of that lady, and this was not the only incident. There has been many incidents, but this came into national media. The molestation of that Kuki woman, and that shook the conscience of India, and it even made the Prime Minister of India to make a comment. So you see, any crisis, foremost impact will always be the weak and vulnerable, be it children, be it women. So it is very linked. So why crisis resolution, conflict resolution is very important, because it impacts not equally, it impacts disproportionately. Everybody will not be impacted equally. The poor and vulnerable woman, child, they will be impacted disproportionately. If you see the videos of refugee camps, if you see the video of borders, it is really a very sad picture. For the want of word, I have no further strong words but to say it is a sad state of affairs. So any crisis, why it impacts women, or why women aspect is very important for conflict resolution is important, or we should keep that in mind. Okay, so that dimension you can get a question in interview, why women issue is related to any solution of group conflicts, ethnic conflicts, or for that matter any crisis. So this is the existing scenario. Then there is the angle of the constitution. So in the constitution, to deal with such crisis in states, we have some articles commonly known as the President Rule articles. Article 356, I am sure you are aware, which gives the power to the union government to take over the state machinery. 356 is the enabling article for President Rule. But the conditions under which 356 will be applied is given in 355 and 365. So let us see what 355 and 365 say. 365 is not directly linked to the Manipur crisis, because it is something like when the state fails to abide by the direction given by the center, then this comes into picture. But here that is not the case, because the same government is running in Delhi as well as in Manipur. Here the impact, the more concerning article is 355. So let us see that. So this is 355. Duty of the union. What is the duty? To protect states against external aggression. This is not in question here, but internal disturbance. So this is in question. So it is the duty of the union. How? Why? So it shall be the duty of the union to protect every state against external aggression and internal disturbance, and to ensure that government of every state is carried on in accordance with the provisions of this constitution. This is a constitutional mandate, and you can argue that the state has failed because now what union government is saying, that they are doing this, they are putting forces there, but the government is still staying, because if you see 356, so 356 says that provisions in case of failure of state machinery. So if the president, on receipt of a report from the governor, is satisfied that situation has arisen in which government of a state cannot be carried on, so now you can argue that government of Manipur is not able to maintain law and order, maintain peace in Manipur, but so it entails 356. It means that 356 should be active right now, but it is not there. So these are the two aspects, and it has been criticized, it has been pointed out in media that government should have used 356. Had it been for any other state, it would have been there. That is the argument of many in the media. So you should be aware, as a person who will be appearing the interview, that what is the constitutional provision to deal with such crisis. We have 356, and what is the enabling part of 356, that why state should, why the union government should take it over, because it is the duty mandated under article 355 that the union government will protect the people, or will ensure that every state government is functioning in accordance with the Constitution of India. Okay? So that is the constitutional aspect of it. So we have dealt with constitution, state we have dealt. There is an international angle to it also. There is an international angle linked to it. Now, as I have shown you in this map, This is so what is happening in Myanmar is impacting the crisis also, because there is a push of people, and as I said, the whole area is having ethnicity of the same ancestry. So there is no particular difference between the people of Myanmar, that region of Manipur. We have a very soft border with, there is a Assam Rifles mans the border, but there is easy ingress and egress in that border. So crisis in Myanmar is forcing Kuki people into Manipur. This is feeding into the insecurities of the Meitei people. That they feel that right now they are 54%, but they feel that with the tendency of the Kukis to keep on expanding, and they feel threatened. So that is creating, but right now it is becoming like a more tribal, non-tribal conflict, because they are acting that way. But this is an important aspect, how an international crisis, a crisis happening in your neighboring country, can impact a domestic crisis. So that's why we need good relation with our neighbors, because that is not only for our other agendas, our international agendas, but for our security agendas. And you should be very aware, this is a very crime prone area. It is very near to the Golden Triangle. And what is Golden Triangle? It is the zone of drug trafficking. There is huge drugs flowing through these areas. There is trafficking of drugs, there is trafficking of people, trafficking of arms, timber trade. All such illegal activities are happening here. So there are some nasty peoples in this region. So you should be very careful. So this is one aspect of this crisis. Okay. Now the solution aspect. Now here you will, that is how your opinion will be judged. Okay, what do you think can be the possible solution? So one solution lies in the constitution itself. There is the Schedule 6 in the Constitution of India. You should be well aware. It is applicable to where? It is applicable right now. It is applicable to Tripura, Assam, Meghalaya, and Mizoram only. So Manipur doesn't come under Schedule 6. What is Schedule 6? It is basically a special type of administration where there is more autonomy for the people. You can say it is a state within a state, but obviously within the greater state, but that region will have greater autonomy. So many Kuki groups are demanding this, give us a separate political entity within Manipur. Okay, but again, Meitei people will obviously not like it. They will not like to share power. So, but this can be a possible issue, because if you see any crisis, political empowerment is always a solution. Greatest example in Northeast is Mizoram. 1980s, Mizoram was the only state where Indian Air Force bombed. That is a very unique aspect. Many people, you may be aware of it, but may not be aware. There was a massive air bombing. Militancy was so high, but now Mizoram is quite peaceful. Obviously, you never know what can happen next, but it is because those people, those militants, or those, you can say, people who had certain grievances, they were given a share of power. So giving a share of power actually assuages the differences and comforts them. So that is what we have done with the Boro Peace Accord in Assam. So we have empowered the Boros so that they feel that they are not left out. They are having political empowerment, and political empowerment will lead to economic empowerment as well as social empowerment. So that is a solution. Give more political empowerment to the Kukis, to the tribals. That can be a solution. Another solution, which is actually very practical and which is part of any group conflict resolution. In fact, in ethics, in paper 4, while studying attitude, maybe you have studied that part, there are aspects where you have to address group conflicts. How will you address group conflicts? So political empowerment is a part, but more rational, more practical way of managing group conflicts, which we have studied in ethics, is something called where you create. This can be a very innovative idea if you put in an interview. If we create pathways of interdependence, there is a group. Say this group is fighting this group. But if you find some common ground where they can come in and collaborate, say there are two villages, they have issues between those two villages. So one good idea will be to conduct a football match between the two groups, or make a joint team, make a joint effort in somewhere. So you are creating certain commonalities or common ground where they can collaborate. So that is one idea of the theory of interdependence in group conflict resolution. So that you can elaborate it further in this in this way. What we can do, or you can suggest in your interview, that we can create economic interdependence. We can create pathways where they are not segregated. It's not like right now what is happening. It is something called ghettoization. People are in ghettos. Nobody of one group is, as I said, there was total transfer of population. What is happening? The Métis are here, the Cookies are here. There is no middle ground. Right now, obviously, this is not a short-term solution. This will be a long-term solution. Short-term solution will be law and order enforcement, to bring in the forces, to ensure that zero tolerance to violence. But long-term, if you want to create a proper solution, then you have to think in terms of economic interdependence. There is no other way. Because see, you are creating an economic model where Cookies and Métis have to collaborate, then only that will function. Say you are creating an enterprise, and the enterprise runs on various industries. Say the enterprise is run by the Métis, but say transport logistics is run by the Cookies. So that way they will be dependent, they cannot fight. So that such interdependences we are seeing everywhere. Here in Assam, in Northeast, everywhere we find people from all sort of background collaborating because of common economic interest. So that can be a very good solution. So giving such ideas, thinking in those lines, obviously you have to think in both the near term, like what is happening now you cannot create interdependence. Now you cannot create economic interdependence because now the problem is in hand. Now it is a law and order issue. You have to bring in your forces. You have to ensure that no violence takes place, no property is looted. But in the long term, if you are thinking of solution, then you have to highlight those aspects. Okay, let us create certain interdependences. That is how group conflicts can be created. Then there is another idea of superordinate goal technique. Superordinate goal means when two groups they collide, then you create a third goal or a bigger goal, so that they feel that let's forget about all our conflicts, let's focus on that goal. Say you are collaborating, you are creating a civil service program where Cookies as well as Métis students come and study. So that will create a superordinate goal. Okay, let us focus on creating maximum number of civil servants from, say, IAS from Manipur. So that will include all the Cookies. It is obviously a very naive way of saying it because the situation is so bad. But still we can think about such lines. And what is the problem? We are the future civil servants. We should have the solutions rather than only focusing on the problems. So this is how we will have to deal with the current affairs aspect of civil service interview preparation, and that is how we'll have to tackle all the aspects or all the topics that we will come across in the coming 2-3 months. So our goal here at Lallan's IAS is to give you that further material, that thinking ability, or you develop on your own. We can give you a push, but that push is very necessary because right now everybody is very casual. What is happening right now is everybody is waiting for the result without doing anything. Everybody is thinking that let the result come, then we will decide. But that will be late, because if you start now, you will have that proverbial edge. When your enemies or your opponent or your competitors are sitting, you work harder in those days, then you will have that edge. Okay, that's it from our side. See you again, and please do comment on it, so that we can understand, or we can collaborate, or we can interact with you further. Till we meet next time, thank you.